I was having a conversation with my business coach, and he said to me, "One of the things that I really like about you is that you have an ability to speak with clarity, brevity, and authority when dealing with your clients." And I said to him, "Honey, these are hard won lessons." One of the biggest problems that I had in the beginning of my business was that I would spin into people pleasing, proving, perfectionism. I was doing all the wrong things. And what I found was that number one, you don't have to prostitute yourself in order to have a client. You can state very clearly, this is what I'm willing to do in exchange for X number of dollars, and you will express or experience such and such, right? So, like in my particular case, I'm a revenue strategist, right? So, when somebody works with me, what they can expect is that they're going to feel more confident about how they can package their intellectual property for profit. They're going to know exactly how to do that, whether it's creating individual coaching programs, group coaching programs, masterminds, memberships, associations, academies, so on, right? And they're going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt what's theirs and what's mine. I think that we have to get to a place where we recognize the power of a mutually beneficial relationship, and that starts with setting clear expectations and clear boundaries. Now, I read this fabulous book called Coming Home to Myself by this wonderful woman named Marion Woodman. She's deceased now, but one of the things that she said is that perfection rapes the soul. That really helped me because it let me see all the ways in which I was nicking myself to death, so to speak, right? That I was spinning into this energy that, quite frankly, I wasn't in integrity because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. The reality is there are no perfect people. And when you're in relationship with the client, I think it's really important that you give yourself permission to be a guide and not a guru. Nobody knows everything about everything, and you can't put yourself in this position where you're assuming a false sense of responsibility for your clients. I think that so many of us have been socialized to give and give and give. And what happens is we spin into over giving and gross under earning, and then we don't set boundaries. So, of course, then we're sliding towards exhaustion, depletion, overwhelm, burnout. And that's not healthy for anybody. I think the other thing that really is important is you have to ask yourself very clearly, what do you want people to feel, know, and do when they work with you? And if you get really, really clear on what's your part and what's their part, you can have like a really honest conversation about how you can work together to co create transformation, to co create miracles. And then the other thing I know for myself as it relates to pricing, so often, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how often I lowballed because I underestimated the amount of work that it actually was going to take to create said transformation. So let me tell you a quick story. Many years ago, I was watching what other people were doing, and people were doing these 1 year programs for $5,000. So I thought, well, I should do that too. Now, I knew that based upon how I work, that I was going to be delivering way beyond that. And I knew within myself that I needed to charge more. And I also knew at the front end that instead of doing a 1 year experience, I needed to do a 6 month experience. But no, your girl didn't listen. I followed the crowd, which is totally unlike me, and literally was dragged through the mud working with this client for 1 year. I actually ended up spinning so hard into perfectionism, people pleasing, proving. I was jumping through all these imaginary hoops. It was ugly. And I really, maybe about the seventh month, I was so angry that I just exploded on the client. Absolutely exploded. I'm not even gonna lie, it was ugly. And then I realized it wasn't about her, wanting too much because she was cracking the whip, right? It was about me not being in integrity about what I was willing to do in exchange for $5,000. And I didn't have to prove that I was worthy and deserving of it. Of course I was. I had created a step by step system so that she could create her own course, the marketing, the sales, the packaging, etc., etc. So I want you to begin to think about where in your life are you doing what I did? Meaning, where in your life are you following the crowd? You're doing what other people are doing, knowing good and well that's not for you. I want you to stop it and give yourself permission to ask, what does a healthy business relationship look like? What do healthy agreements look like? What does a mutually beneficial client working relationship look like? What are the boundaries that I need to set? What are the contracts that I need to put in place? What type of support do I need to be able to assist to these people? Do I have, for example, like a fabulous 50 list of contacts that I can refer or outsource work to instead of me jumping into every box of my organizational chart? I think it's really important that we begin to have some integrity